You know that feeling when you get the raise email and for like 10 seconds you feel taller? Like your shoulders drop, your brain finally unclenches. You're already spending it in your head, not in a greedy way, in a thank God I can breathe way. And then, weirdly, nothing changes. A month later, you're still doing the little mental math in the drive-through line, still timing your bills, still hoping nothing unexpected shows up, because unexpected is just code for this is going to hurt. And the worst part is, you can't even explain it to people without sounding ungrateful. Because on paper, you're winning. You got the raise. You did the thing. You leveled up. So why do you feel poorer? Here's what's happening. Your raise didn't go into your life. It went into your lifestyle. Quietly. Automatically. Like a subscription you never remember signing up for. It's the slightly better apartment because you deserve sunlight and a dishwasher. It's the car payment that's only a few hundred more than the old one because you're done driving a beater. It's the nicer grocery store because you're trying to eat better. It's the weekend plans that turn into just one more thing until the whole weekend costs more than expected. And none of it feels insane in the moment. That's why it works. Because lifestyle creep isn't you going on a spending bender. It's you making normal upgrades, one at a time, until your raise is gone before it ever becomes safety. Today, we're doing a side-by-side story. Two people, same starting point, same job market, same kind of raise, same external world. Monica takes the normal path, the path you're basically trained to take. Carmen takes the boring path, the path that feels slower and honestly feels unfair at first. And after a couple years, one of them has options, like real options, quit your job options, handle an emergency options, sleep through the night options. And the other one is doing fine, but living on a tighter edge than she was before the raise. My name is Ben, and today I'm going to show you the lifestyle creep death spiral, how every raise can make you poorer unless you make one small decision that feels lame in the moment but changes your entire future. Because you're not broken, the math is broken, and Monica and Carmen are about to prove it. Monica and Carmen start in the same place, same job level, same city, same annoying rent increases that show up like clockwork. Same, I'm doing everything right feeling. Then they both get the raise. Not the movie plot raise, not the I can retire now raise, just the kind that's supposed to make your life breathe a little. And for about 2 weeks, it does. Monica feels it first. She stops doing the little mental math at the grocery store. She upgrades the phone because the old one is kinda glitchy. She says yes to the weekend trip because she deserves it. She switches to the nicer gym because it's closer and she'll actually go more. None of those choices are crazy. That's why this works. It's all defensible. And then the bills settle. The subscriptions stack. The just this once dinners become normal. The car that was fine starts feeling embarrassing. The apartment that was acceptable starts feeling temporary. And Monica isn't buying luxury. She's buying relief. I call this the comfort drift. It's when your spending quietly rearranges itself around your new identity before your savings even realizes you got a raise. Carmen gets the same raise and has the same impulses. She wants the nicer stuff too. She's not a monk. She's just suspicious. Because Carmen knows something Monica hasn't learned yet. The raise isn't the win. The gap is the win. That little space between what you make and what you spend, that's not extra. That's not play money. That's the only thing that turns a job into a life. So Carmen does one move that looks boring and feels lame in the moment. She treats the raise like it never happened. Not forever, just long enough to capture it. She lets herself upgrade one thing, Something small that actually improves her day to day. And the rest goes somewhere Monica can't see. Into margin, into options, into the ability to say no later. Because here's the part nobody tells you. Lifestyle creep doesn't make you poorer by taking your money. It makes you poorer by taking your flexibility. Monica gets the raise, and her monthly obligations rise to meet it. Carmen gets the raise, and her freedom rises to meet it. Same raise, two futures. And the reason this becomes a death spiral is simple. Monica will need the next raise just to feel normal again. Carmen won't. And once you need raises to survive instead of to build, you don't have a career anymore. You have a treadmill with better branding. Monica's problem isn't that she can't budget. It's that her raise got pre-spent by her future self. Because the second that money hits her paycheck, it doesn't feel like extra. It feels like proof. Proof she's finally allowed to live like the person she's been trying to be this whole time. So she upgrades the stuff that's been annoying her. The car that squeaks. The apartment that's fine. The phone that's kinda slow. The clothes that make her feel like she's still pretending at her job. And none of those choices are crazy on their own. They're normal. They're socially rewarded. People literally congratulate you for them. But the danger is what I call the comfort contract. It's when you turn temporary income into permanent obligations. A raise is flexible. It can go into savings or debt payoff or a buffer. But a nicer lease, a nicer car payment, a handful of subscriptions you swear you'll cancel later, those are sticky. Those don't go away when your life gets messy. Carmen gets the exact same raise, same company, same manager, same "great work this year" speech. And she does something that looks boring from the outside. She keeps her baseline the same. Not forever, just long enough to prove to herself, this raise is mine. It doesn't automatically belong to my lifestyle. So instead of upgrading everything, she buys back margin. She builds a buffer that can eat a surprise without ruining her week. She makes her bills smaller than her paycheck on purpose. She creates what I call quiet leverage, the kind where you can say no to overtime, no to a toxic project, no to a boss who thinks you're trapped. Monica, meanwhile, adds just a few hundred in new monthly commitments because it feels manageable. And it is. Until it isn't. Because the death spiral isn't one big mistake. It's a series of small, "I deserve this" decisions that quietly convert your raise into a new minimum. And once your new minimum is higher, every inconvenience costs more. A minor car repair doesn't just hurt, it destabilizes the whole month. A slower work season doesn't just mean less fun money, it means anxiety. A random expense doesn't just come out of savings because there is no savings. There's only the next paycheck. That's why raises can make you poorer, not because you earn less, because you owe more. Monica gets the raise, and it doesn't feel like relief. It feels like permission. Because the second that new paycheck hits, her brain does this little rewrite where the old life becomes temporary and the new life becomes normal. And normal has a price tag. So she upgrades the apartment, not because she's reckless, because she's tired. Tired of the thin walls, tired of the sketchy parking lot, tired of telling herself it's fine every single day. The new place is nicer, quieter, safer, and it's only a few hundred more. And then the new place requires the new furniture, not because she wants to show off, because the old couch looks sad in the new living room. The new living room has light. It exposes things. And suddenly, making it work feels like pretending. Then the car. Because now she's parking next to nicer cars. And her car still runs, sure, but it sounds like it's apologizing every time it starts. So she rationalizes. I'm doing better now. I should have something reliable. And this is the part nobody says out loud. Monica isn't buying stuff. She's buying distance. Distance from embarrassment. Distance from inconvenience. Distance from the version of herself who used to count down to payday like it was oxygen. I call this the status rent. It's the monthly amount you pay just to keep living at the level you've reached, even if you don't actually like it that much. Carmen gets the same raise, same job market, same inflation, same social pressure. But she does something that looks boring and feels almost wrong. She keeps her life the same, for a while. Not forever, just long enough to prove to herself that the raise is real, that it's consistent, that it's not going to vanish the moment her company restructures, or her hours get cut, or life does that thing where it laughs at your plans. So when Carmen feels that itch to upgrade, she doesn't ask, "Can I afford it?" She asks, "Will this become my new minimum?" Because once it's your minimum, it's not a treat anymore. It's a bill. Monica's raise turns into a higher baseline. Carmen's raise turns into margin. And margin is what keeps a raise from becoming a pay cut in disguise. And this is where Monica and Carmen fully split into two different financial realities. Because the real killer isn't the bigger rent, or the nicer car, or the upgraded grocery store where everything is organic and somehow your total is always more than expected. It's what those upgrades do to your risk. Monica gets a raise, and her life immediately reorganizes around it. Not because she's irresponsible, because she's normal. She wants to feel the win. She wants the raise to show up in her life in a way she can actually see. So she signs the slightly nicer lease. She swaps the fine car for the one that feels like she's finally an adult. She starts saying yes to things without doing the little mental math first. And it feels amazing. Until the first random expense shows up. Not an emergency, just life. A tire, a flight, a dentist thing, something that costs a few hundred. Old Monica would have felt it, but survived it. New Monica feels it like a threat, because the raise didn't increase her freedom. It increased her minimum. I call this the fragile baseline. It's when your lifestyle becomes so tightly fitted to your income that any wobble, any delay, any surprise, any, "Hey, we're changing commission structures," doesn't just stress you out, it destabilizes you. Carmen gets the same raise, but she does something that looks boring from the outside and feels almost unfair in the moment. She refuses to let her life auto-update. Not forever, just long enough to prove something to herself. That the raise is real, that it's consistent, and that she can keep it without needing it. So when life throws that same few hundred punch, Carmen doesn't spiral. She doesn't need to shuffle payments. She doesn't need to negotiate with her future self. She doesn't need to pretend she forgot a bill. She just pays it. And that sounds small. It's not. Because Monica's fragile baseline creates a new behavior. She starts buying stability on demand. Delivery, convenience fees, just put it on the card. The little financial shortcuts that feel harmless in the moment, but add interest, stress, and shame to everything. Carmen's boring choice creates the opposite behavior. She starts accumulating what I call option wealth. Not rich person wealth, not yacht wealth, the kind of wealth where you can say no. No to overtime you can't handle. No to a boss who's squeezing you. No to a deal that isn't a deal. Monica's raise makes her lifestyle heavier. Carmen's raise makes her life lighter. And once you feel that difference, you can't unfeel it. So here's what Carmen does differently. And it's not willpower. It's not being good with money. It's a default. Because lifestyle creep doesn't happen when you're reckless. It happens when your money has no walls. I call this the automatic margin. Monica's raise lands in her checking account like rain hitting pavement. It spreads everywhere. A nicer grocery run, a couple "we deserve it" meals, a slightly better apartment, a subscription she doesn't even remember signing up for. And the money doesn't feel spent until it's gone. Carmen makes the raise land like rain hitting a bucket. Same paycheck, different landing zone. Here's the practical system. One rule. Boring on purpose. When your pay goes up, you don't upgrade your life first. You upgrade your margin first. Carmen picks a fixed slice of every raise, call it most of the raise, and she never lets it touch her lifestyle. Not, "I'll save what's left," not, "I'll try." It never even becomes available to spend. It goes automatically to two places. First, an option account. Not an investment account you'll raid. Not a vacation fund with a cute name. A plain, slightly annoying account that exists for one job, making emergencies feel smaller. Second, a boring payoff target. The thing charging you interest. The thing that keeps you up at night. The thing that turns normal life into a pressure cooker. And yes, Carmen still upgrades. She's not a monk. She just does it in a specific order. She sets a timer, not a spreadsheet, a timer. For the first month after a raise, she changes nothing. Same groceries, same car, same everything. She wants to feel the difference between "I got paid more" and "my life got easier." Then, and only then, she chooses one upgrade. One. Something that removes friction, not adds a monthly bill. Something that gives her time back, not a status bump. Monica upgrades in the moment because it feels like progress. Carmen upgrades after the moment because she's buying something better than stuff. She's buying breathing room. And once you have breathing room, the whole death spiral loses its grip. Because the next surprise expense doesn't force a credit card swipe. It's just handled. Maybe it's a few hundred and it stings, but it doesn't break you. That's the difference. Monica uses raises to decorate her life. Carmen uses raises to defend her future. You can feel the difference in your body. Monica gets a raise and it's like a sugar rush. She's lighter for a week. She's nicer in traffic. She sleeps a little deeper. Because finally, she thinks, the pressure's going to come off. And then the bills show up wearing a new outfit. Not because Monica is dumb, because Monica is normal. She did what the whole culture trains you to do. Treat a raise like permission to expand. A slightly nicer place, a slightly nicer car, a few more "we deserve it" moments. And every one of those upgrades has a monthly heartbeat. It needs to be fed, forever. So the raise doesn't buy freedom, it buys obligations. And when life does what life always does, tires, medical stuff, a wedding invite you can't dodge, Monica pays the difference with stress, with credit, with that low-grade dread that sits behind your ribs even on good days. Carmen gets the same raise, and nothing about her life looks more impressive on Instagram. But her life feels quieter, because she uses raises to create what I call the invisible margin. The part of your paycheck that never gets a chance to be spent. The part that turns emergencies into inconveniences. The part that makes you hard to scare. And that's the real flex. Not the upgraded lifestyle, the upgraded nervous system. So here's your binary choice. You can keep taking every raise and immediately turning it into a new baseline, where you're always one surprise away from panic, and you're always doing fine right up until you're not. Or you can decide that the next raise is the line in the sand, not for a nicer life on the outside, for a safer life on the inside. Because the goal isn't to look like you're winning. The goal is to wake up and realize you've built a life where a few $100s doesn't get a vote on your mood anymore. My name is Ben, and if every raise keeps making you feel poorer, it's not because you're broken. It's because you've been using progress as decoration instead of defense.